4th of July weekend for Americans. If you're not in America, well, find a reason to celebrate. Make the most out of life. Hello from Nevada. Hello. Hello from Lithuania. Welcome from Kansas, or from Louisville, Kentucky. Nice. From Belgium. One day I went to Belgium. I was playing poker in, I think it was France, and back then they had funny rules pertaining to if you could play online poker there. I think you had to be specifically playing in a segregated French market. We didn't want to do that, so we took a train to Belgium. That was a whole lot of fun. I think I took, what did I do? I think I won the Sunday 500. All of my friends had to leave, so they left me there by myself. I stayed in the hotel room, and then the housekeeping people were trying to get me to leave the hotel room at like noon, which is apparently when the Sunday 500 ended. But I won, so that was a lot of fun. Hello from Utah, where poker is illegal. Well, such is life. Hope you're all having a great day. What am I showing you here? This is not what I'm supposed to be showing you. This is a hand we're going to go over soon. Today, we're going to be discussing 3 exploits that will help you absolutely crush small stakes tournaments. People always ask, what are the small stakes tournaments? Well, tournaments where people are not playing great, period. If you're playing a $25,000 buy-in tournament and everybody's bad because you table selected really well or game selected really well, that's essentially a small stakes tournament. Usually this is going to apply to something like $50 buy-in tournaments and lower online, so small and medium stakes games. And live, probably something like $500 buy-in games or smaller, give or take. That said, really it's more of the specific player. These types of exploits will take advantage of people who do not play well. Okay? So let's go ahead and get to it. Online tournaments, which I know is what a lot of you are playing now, are extremely profitable if you can learn how to exploit your opponent's tendencies. That means you do not want to sit here and just play good, fundamentally sound GTO poker all day. While that will make you money, you're going to make a whole lot more money if you figure out what your opponents do incorrectly. So today, I'm going to teach you exploitative 3-betting strategies. Also, exactly how to exploit wide ranges and implementable strategies that you can start using today to get out of line and take advantage of your opponents. So, exploit number 1, 3-betting strategies. So in today's game, weak players are not responding to 3-bets properly. And in general, they ended up playing way too passively. So take a look here. Here's what we have. Here we have the cutoff raising range. All of these hands that are not in white. Take a look at this, right? All these hands that are not in white are the raising range. And then if the button 3-bets you using this strategy, here's how you should defend. Playing 60 big blinds deep, okay? Ask yourself, are you calling the King 8 suited out of position? Are you calling the King 5 suited, the King 6 suited? Are you 4-betting small with the King 4 suited and the Ace 2 suited and the King Jack offsuit? Are you ripping it all in for 60 big blinds with pocket 10s, 9s, etc.? A lot of you are not. I mean, hey, I probably don't. And to be fair, in tournaments, very often you shouldn't. You should be a little bit cautious when you're sitting there playing 60 big blinds deep because you don't really want to get stacked, right? You want to avoid very high-risk spots without an edge. So, if you know your opponent will not respond optimally to your 3-bet, what should you do? Well, you should definitely 3-bet as wide as the GTO strategy, and perhaps you should be 3-betting even a little bit more. So take a look at what the GTO 3-betting strategy is, right? All these hands in red, 3-bet. You're supposed to be 3-betting. King 4 suited, a lot. King 5 suited, a lot. Low suited ace X is a lot. 10-7 suited. Queen 8 suited. Queen 9 suited, a lot. Jack 10 offsuit. Hands like Ace 8 offsuit every single time, it says. Ace 5 offsuit sometimes. Ace 9 offsuit sometimes. King 10 offsuit. Queen 10 offsuit, right? You're supposed to be 3-betting a lot of these relatively junky hands some portion of the time. And a lot of people just do not do this. If you've been watching me stream recently, this is something that I am doing at least somewhat consistently. And that is resulting in me doing quite well. I think this last week, even though I lost every single all-in, we had something like 17.8 EV big blind per 100 throughout the day. That was very, very good. You have to be happy with that, even though we lost every all-in when we got late, right? That is okay. As long as you are consistently having a high EV big blind per 100, you're going to crush your opponents long term. And anything like 7 EV big blind per 100, if you look at your Hold'em Manager or Poker Tracker, is pretty solid. So like 17 is really, really doing well. Maybe I was just running hot, who knows. But anyway, ask yourself, do you 3-bet nearly this often? And this is just what the GTO strategy is, right? This is if your opponent plays well. What if your opponent responds a little bit tighter? What if they respond a little bit cautiously? Well, what should you do? Take a second, think about it. While I do that, Gamer says, what do we consider small stakes? We already discussed this. It really is a question of what is the players' skills. Perhaps we showed up a little bit late. But $50 buying games and smaller are pretty soft online. And they definitely apply. Live, something like anything lower than $500 games. Small/medium stakes, they're all roughly the same. The real thing you need to be considering is what is the strength of the player I'm against. If they're bad, they should be in the small stakes, right? All right, so anyway, what do? Well, we 3-bet more. We 3-bet even more than the GTO strategy. So if right here we have the GTO strategy, right? Same chart we had right here, 11% 3-bet. Now we're going to raise that a little bit more. Now we're going to raise it to about 15%. An easy way to do this is just go down and take basically every hand, or most of the hands, some of the hands that we're getting 3-bet as a bluff, and instead of 3-betting them sometimes, just 3-bet them all the time. 3-bet them all the time, right? And that's going to apply an immense amount of pressure to your opponents. And very often, they are going to call, and then they're going to end up check folding after the flop very, very frequently. Even if they don't check fold the flop, maybe they check fold the turn. Maybe they check fold the river. Turns out people really don't want to be check calling off their stack for 60 big blinds with a marginal bluff catcher when you have the polarized range. What do you do when you get 4-bet? Just fold? Yes! Of course. We are exploiting our opponent's tendencies, right? And the tendency they have is that they fold too often. So when they don't fold, we are making the presumption that they probably have a very good hand. Now, obviously, if your opponent's a lunatic, you can see them playing every pot, this may not apply. But against most people, aggression is going to just absolutely crush them. They are going to fold more often than they should. Again, Tony asked the question that's completely irrelevant. And if a $500 World Series event, is this considered high stakes? It's like somewhere in the middle. In my mind, all of these big series, whenever they have an event that gets, 1,000 people or 2,000 people, it's going to be soft, okay? It's just going to be soft, especially if you can't re-enter all that many times. So that basically plays like a small stakes tournament. Obviously, there are going to be good players in it. You do not use these strategies against the world-class players who also play the tournaments. You use these strategies selectively against the bad players, right? Run when you see 4-bets in small stakes. That is accurate. So, tip number 1, 3-bet way more often. Screenshot this. Print this out. This is what you need to be doing when the cutoff raises and you're on the button when you have between like 40 and 100 big blinds. 3-bet them a lot. Apply immense aggression. Does position play a part in this? Yeah, you want to be 3-betting more when you're in position because that's when your opponent will be at their absolute weakest, right? So, against the hijack, against the cutoff, whenever they raise, they're going to start off with wide-ish ranges to begin with. That's when you really, really want to apply pressure. All right, next. Exploit wide capped ranges, which is kind of what we just discussed, right? Small stakes players play terribly with wide ranges. So, in general, you're going to want to increase your raise first in frequencies from the cutoff, the button, and the small blind. Because when you raise from those positions, your opponents will have to defend slightly wider than they may be accustomed to. Just think about it. If you go and play small stakes cash games, medium stakes cash games, sometimes high stakes cash games. I remember sitting at Bellagio Every day I would show up, and I would always ask to start a table if the 5-10 no limit or 10-20 no limit table was full. Yet I would sit down. They'd try to sit us with 3 or 4 players and get us ready to play. I'm always ready to play. The other people are always saying, oh, no, I don't want to play if there's only 4 people or 5 people or 6 people. I want a full table. You know why that is? Because they realize they're terrible at playing wide ranges, and you must play slightly wider ranges if you're playing late position against late position than you do when you open it up under the gun, right? So what should you do if you know your opponents in general are going to be making post-flop errors? Well, you want to play more pots with them, right? So that's going to result in you increasing your raise first thin frequency, especially from the later positions, including the small blind. This is something that I had to come around to, but from talking with a lot of other world-class players, turns out you can raise very frequently from the small blind, and that's going to result in the big blind calling, and then maybe check calling the flop a lot, but then check folding the turn a little bit too much, and check or folding to the river bet way too often. So it feels kind of dicey knowing that you're going to kind of lack fold equity pre-flop and perhaps even on the flop, but you're really going to maximize it on the turn and the river. So do not be afraid of getting in there and battling. So many people just want to raise and take it. And if they don't raise and take it or raise it and win the pot with a continuation bet, they give up every time. But again, if you've been watching my stream over the last 6 weeks or so, where I've been streaming my playing online medium and high stakes tournaments, people fold too often by the river. There was one gross one this weekend in the $2,500 tournament where we had king high. I don't exactly remember how it went, but it felt bad. It felt like this was getting called every time. And, I'm doing what I am learning from many of the best players in the world, the poker coaching coaches who I hired to help all of you as well. And I just did it. Closed my eyes, held my nose. It was stinky, and we went for it. And you know what? It worked. The opponent folded and gave us something like a 30 or 40 big blind pot that I would not have won in the past. And you want to know how you increase your EV big blind per 100 and increase your ROI? You consistently get in there and win these extra 30 or 40 big blind pots that you otherwise would not. So what do? Raise more pre-flop. Continuation bet more than the GTO strategy on the flop. Continuation bet more than the GTO strategy on the turn. And, keep betting more than the GTO strategy on the river. Apply aggression. Let's take a look at a few hands. Here we have the King 4 offsuit. Folds around to me on the button. We raise it up. Big blind calls. Flop comes 10-4-2. Ask yourself right off the bat, would you even raise the King 4 on the button? This is close. It's slightly wide. I'm raising it basically all the time now. I would fold it against loose-ish, aggressive-ish players in the past, and maybe that's still okay. But you should be raising this against all but the most maniacal opponents. So opponent checks. This is a very easy bet with our whole range. We bet small. Notice, we know we're going to get called a lot when we make this bet. We are not making a big bet here, right? We are making a small bet. When you make a small bet, you know you're going to get called a lot. So what does that mean? Well, that means we must continue betting the turn and probably the river. Are you cool triple barreling in this spot? I always get excited when I get to triple barrel. It makes me giddy. And when I see this flop, I already know, all right, we're going to be going for it. Because think about it. Pretty much no matter how this board runs out, it's usually going to get a little bit scarier for whatever the opponent has, unless it runs off like 10-10 or 5-5 or 2-2. In that scenario, we're going to be going for it whenever it's not exactly something that really nails the opponent's flop check calling range. And even then, when it comes off 10-10 or 5-5, king high actually wins sometimes. We don't even need to bluff then. But this is a spot we're going to bet the flop and we're going to be going for it because usually the turn is going to be an overcard or a card bringing a backdoor flush draw or something like that. And we're just going to do it. Turn is beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. When the opponent check calls a flop, it's usually going to be with stuff like a 10-5 or a 2, a middle pair, or something like ace high or a draw. Notice that ace high just got way worse. A 10-5 or 2 got way worse. The draws got way worse. Literally everything in the opponent's range got way worse. And if I was betting the flop with 100% of my range, that means I have all the queen high type hands, right? We have ace queen, queen jack, queen 9, queen 8, queen 7 suited, queen 6 suited, queen 5 suited, right? We have all of that stuff and all of that improved. So this is a fantastic spot to barrel. We bet 650. Our opponent is going to call. Notice here we're setting up a river jam, right? Pot is 2,210. Our opponent's going to be left with a pot size bet. So this is a spot where we are going to go for it. Opponent checks river, easy all in, easiest all in the world. I mean, put yourself in your opponent's shoes, right? If you're sitting here with a 10, well, in my mind, that's an easy call. But if you're sitting here with a 5 or pocket 6s, it's a pretty rough spot, right? In reality, it's still probably an okay call. A lot of people don't call there, though. Do you actually call it off for all of your chips in a tournament with pocket 6s or with 5-4 or with ace-2 in this scenario? Almost no one does. Almost no one does. So that allows you to triple barrel. See your comments here. How do we define small stakes tournament? Again, it's not a factor of the buy-in. It's a factor of who are we against. I want to tell you a little secret. We've been using these exploits against everyone. It's working out great. It's been working out great. Also, if you showed up late, there's a lot of stuff we already discussed, so please recognize that if I do not go back and answer your question. Isn't it hard to represent a 10 on the flop and then raise queen and make that look bluffy? AK, you're not using very good terms here. We didn't raise at any point in this hand besides pre-flop. We raised pre-flop and the opponent called. On the flop, I'm not representing a 10. I'm representing my entire range. When you bet small, that implies you're betting frequently. I have a poker training site, pokercoaching.com. Go to pokercoaching.com/fundamentals and watch that. And we discuss when you bet small on the flop, you're announcing, I'm betting with my whole range because my whole range is better than your whole range here. And that allows us to bet small and frequently. So I'm not representing a 10. I'm representing everything in my range. And clearly, everything in my range, some of that's going to end up containing a queen. I would also continue value betting if I had a 10. All right. Well, you have way too many bluffs if you do this. Yes. And that's okay. And that is okay because your opponents are going to fold too often. Okay? Anyway, opponent checks turn, we barrel. Opponent checks river, easy all in. And this time we get it through. Let's try another one from the small blind. This is one that I've definitely changed my tendencies. So in this scenario, I used to just limp every time. I would limp close to 100% of the time from the small blind, and it was profitable. I was definitely recouping a large chunk of the small blind by making that play, and it's way better than just playing fit or fold. But now, I'm raising something like 90% of the time from the small blind. That's a lot. It's exploitative, right? If the opponents are good, it's not going to work out. The problem is that, well, it's not the problem. The good thing about this is that almost no one is good. Almost everyone folds too often at some point. It may not be pre-flop. It may not be on the flop. Maybe it's on the turn on the river. Maybe you're going to have the courage to make the turn plus river bet. But you all have that in you. So anyway, we raise, opponent calls. Flop comes this. Ooh, another good one. This is one of these spots where we know that we are going to get a lot of good turn cards that are going to give me some amount of equity. Again, it could run off quite bad, but this is a spot where we are going to apply aggression. So we do bet small with everything. If the opponent folds much of anything, we're going to profit. Again, what is minimum defense frequency in this spot? Whoops, spoiler. In this scenario, our opponent, in theory, needs to defend 22 divided by 7, which is, 2/7 of the time. What's that, 30-ish% of the time? I'm sorry, 70-ish% of the time. So are they going to defend 70-ish% of hands in this spot? Some people will, some people won't. A lot of people won't, though. So we bet, they call. Turn is a 10 of diamonds. Beautiful turn. Definitely easy bet. Setting up a river jam every time. You may say, what if your opponent has a queen? Won't they just call you? Yeah, they will. But you know how often they have a queen? Not very often. Not very often. We bet, they call. We get a beautiful river to jam. This is mandatory. Ace or king is a mandatory jam. 10 and 9 are probably also, 9 gives us nuts. Not 10. 10 gives us a mandatory jam as well because we could easily have a 10. Queen is kind of dicey. Queen's kind of dicey. 8's kind of dicey too. A 2 I would definitely jam. Any low card I would jam. Any diamond I would check, call it off, which may sound a little bit optimistic, but you do beat a lot of hands in this scenario. So this is a good spot to go for the triple. We do go for the triple. Wouldn't it be 22 to win 90? Maybe I had my numbers wrong. Let's see. Always catch me on the math, because when we try to do math on the fly, I screw up. Yeah, you're right. Bet divided by bet plus pot. You're right. Sorry about that. Thank you, Michael, for catching it. So it'd be 2 9s, which is whatever it is, 20% of the time, call it. So that means they need to defend with 80% of their hands, which obviously they're not. Good job. Math on the fly is hard for me. All right. Why are we betting so small on the flop? Don't we want to bet bigger to polarize our range? No, we don't. And the reason we don't is because when we bet large, that's going to force them to fold out all their junk immediately. So we'll get more fold equity immediately on the flop in exchange for less fold equity on the turn and the river. And we really want that fold equity on the turn and the river when the pot starts to get a little bit bigger. Okay? When they find out that you're betting so often, isn't it easy counterable by playing tight and aggressive and slow playing a lot? Yeah, nobody figures it out though when you're playing tournaments. Ask yourself, when you're playing online poker tournaments, you think people are sitting there diligently paying attention to your post-flop strategies? They're not. They're maybe paying attention to your pre-flop strategies. So, you want to take this to the next level. How do you maintain loose, aggressive post-flop stats without looking like a lunatic? Ask yourself that. How do you get to play like a lunatic without actually being a lunatic? Well, play a little bit tighter from the earlier positions. That's the spot where you're not making much money from any hand anyway. So you can still play exact same pre-flop stats as a GTO player while also getting all of the benefit of these maximally exploitative strategies. People will not see very clearly that you are playing aggressively post-flop. They will see it if you're playing absurd pre-flop, though, and they will adjust. That's why you don't get to play overly absurd pre-flop. That said, you all see me playing when I'm playing. I have 28/18 or something stats, which is pretty lag. Something like 10% 3-bet, 11% 3-bet, which is pretty lag. And people still fold because it turns out people don't want to call off all their money with bad bluff catchers. All right, exploit number 3. Bet thinly for value, then overfold when they apply aggression. People do not check, raise, bluff the river enough. And this has been happening throughout all the years, and nothing has changed. So, what do? Well, instead of betting with the GTO range on the river, we should be betting thinner for value than the GTO range recommends. And if we get raised, only call the absolute nuts, because unless you're playing against the absolute high-stakes crushers, people are not going to be check-raise bluffing you on the river. Or perhaps on the turn. On the flop, it starts to change a little bit, because a lot of the weaker players will just check-raise all top pairs and all middle pairs, because that's just how they operate sometimes. But on the turn and the river, people almost always have very, very good hands when they raise. I can count even the times, many, many times, where I've been on the river in a high-stakes tournament against a world-class player in a spot where I go for a, kind of obvious value bet. We're value bet top and middle pair or something, like a pretty good hand. And then I get check raise, and I very often convince myself, all right, this guy's a world-class player. He's going to have enough bluffs here. And you know what? They basically always show me the nuts. And these are the best players in the world who are even capable of mixing in some check-raise bluffs. People do not check-raise bluff often enough. So let's take a look at one more hand here. We raise it up. Folds around to the big blind who calls. Flop comes 8-6-2. Opponent checks. We value bet. Opponent calls. Turn to the jack. Check here. This is clearly terrible for me, right? This is a spot where the opponent could easily have random backdoor floats. Maybe they could have flushes already. They could have me beat in theory with something like pocket nines. So we're just going to check this turn. I don't hate betting this turn if your opponent's going to play very, very straightforwardly. So I could get behind that, actually, going for like a 4,000, 5,000 bet, something like that, just to protect against various diamonds and to get value from some worse hands. But whatever. Check. River's a 2. Opponent checks. This is a spot where we have a very, 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 very easy river value bet against almost everyone. Most people are not going to check raise you nearly often enough in this scenario. And to be fair, the optimal check raising strategy probably involves something like check raising all the 2s and perhaps even hands like a jack. And the opponent should also be trapping every once in a while with a flush. You can be very sure the vast majority of people in scenarios like this will bet the river with their 2s, and they'll bet the river with their flushes when we get to this point, and they won't check raise their jacks. But if they are sitting here with a hand like 9-8 or 7-6, as long as you don't bet too large, that's going to result in them finding hero calls. I'm not a big fan of a huge bet here. What some people do is they just bet as they would with a flush, but that's a pretty big mistake, I think. In these scenarios, against these players, you want to go something like 40-ish% pot, maybe 30% pot, maybe 20% pot, if you find that the players in your games just fold literally every time. But right here, we have the best hand some huge portion of the time. And given we have the best hand some huge portion of the time, we get to go for a value bet. Someone just started vacuuming outside. Perfect timing, huh? So anyway, we go for value. We do get called, and we had our opponent pipped. They had the queen 8, and we get a little bit of value. And you may say, like, yeah, they had the perfect hand, right? The thing is, though, is that a lot of people, when they check the turn and then they check the river, they actually are going to have the perfect hand for us to get called by. They're going to have almost entirely a range of something like maybe 10s and worse. So yeah, we lose to 10s, yeah, we lose to 9s, but notice we beat all the 8s for the most part. We beat all the 6s, and the opponent probably does not have a 2. Can you guys hear that incredibly loud vacuuming outside? I hope not. Well, whatever, we'll keep pushing forward. So we are now to the question and answer segment of this PowerPoint. If you have any questions you want to ask me, let me know. Let me know. I'm happy to answer them. Let's go through the 3 big exploits again to help you crush the small stakes tournaments. So, number 1, 3-bet late position opens constantly, especially when you're in late position. Apply immense aggression. Number 2, exploit wide capped ranges. This is going to mean open wider in late position, c-bet more frequently, and play the turn and river generally more aggressively. And number 3, value bet thin for value, but then overfold when they raise you, especially on the turn and river. So you all type in your questions, and I will be answering those in just a second. First, let me tell you about the 4th of July sale. 4th of July is coming up. I know 4th of July probably doesn't mean a whole lot to non-Americans. A lot of Americans love the 4th of July. Some Americans don't even care about it. But we're having a 4th of July sale. So what's going on sale? Well, a lot of stuff. First things first, we have lots of videos on cash games. And we're going to be discounting all of those. We have how to beat wild games, how to beat loose games, me reviewing hands from Live at the Bike. We discuss beating 5-10 no limit like I used to sit at Bellagio and do all day, every day. All of these we are giving you at a nice discount. Also, my cash game masterclass. We've updated it a bit to include 29 quiz sections after the parts. So we have built this out a little bit more, and I'm going to continuously update it. I'm currently making a giant tournament course. It's very giant. It's taking a lot of time. We'll be uploading some of that soon for our members. But after I'm done with that, I'm going to go back and completely redo this again. I've decided to focus very, very hard on a few big courses and make sure they are always cutting edge, up to date, and maximally made to help all of you get great at poker. We also have lots of tournament content there. We have content where I'm reviewing some of my very deep runs in live poker, some of my online wins. There was a tournament where I won $50,000 in a $100 game. Also, we have courses where I teach students how to crush it. Here we have the World Series preparation sessions with Blaz Zerjau. Blaz is one of the poker coaching members. He turned $5 into $1.3 million on Party Poker about a year and a half ago. And since then, he has gone on to do pretty well in live poker. I coached him before the World Series of Poker. And then also, he won something like $250,000 just recently online again. So he is absolutely doing it, and I'm proud of him. So these are some of the individual products we have available. But what I really recommend all of you do is get into poker coaching or poker coaching premium. Here are our coaches. We have a wide range of coaches. They play all sorts of games, from high-stakes tournaments, small-stakes cash games, and everything in between. And I'll run through them very briefly. We have Matt Affleck. Matt Affleck absolutely crushes online poker. He also crushes live poker. He has made deep runs in the World Series main event, and he does it. He does webinars basically every week for our poker coaching premium members, and those are some of the most consistent, like, building block type webinars where he goes through the GTO strategy and how he adjusts to take advantage of his opponents. We have Alex Fitzgerald. He's probably coached more people than anybody else in the world. We have Evan Jarvis, Gripsed. He's all about getting stacking. We have Jonathan Jaffe. You all may not know Jonathan Jaffe, but he was the king of heads up sit and goes online for a long time, and he absolutely crushes live poker. Every time I play with him, he is an absolute treat to play with. It is insane watching him play. He plays every single pot. Some of these people I hired because I just want to know how they're crushing me and how they're crushing everybody else. Next, we have Michael Acevedo. Michael Acevedo wrote the book, Modern Poker Theory. Some of the charts we had today were straight up from that book. And he is the GTO expert, not just for me, but for one of the biggest backing sites in the world that consistently prints profits over and over. Their students are learning from Michael all the time. Next, we have Lexy Gavin. She is a world-class cash game player. Also, she does pretty great in tournaments. We have Tristan Wade, who has a lot of solid content as well. He's been helping out with things like World Series of Poker Deep Stacks in the past. He basically made that tour, and now he's coaching for us. And then we have Faraz Jaka. Faraz Jaka kind of falls in the same bucket as Jonathan Jaffe, and very, very good, strong, world-class player who absolutely demolishes the game. I mean, these two guys may actually have some of the highest return on investments among anyone in live tournaments. And they both absolutely crush it online too. Faraz has actually been streaming for the Poker Coaching Premium members every week. Actually, no, every month he'll get on and he'll just do a private stream for the Poker Coaching Premium members. Also, we recently hired James Romero. James Romero is one of the top 10 ranked players of this year. So this year or last year? Well, whenever I made this slide, he was in the top 10 poker players. And he is an absolute master of all things pertaining to poker. And he is wise beyond his young age, that's for sure. So what is poker coaching? In poker coaching, we have lots and lots of interactive quizzes. You see here, we would put you in this scenario. You'd start pre-flop and you'd work your way forward, of course. But then we would ask, what would you do in these spots? And then you have to tell us by clicking the button what you would do. And then you go through and you get scores, right? We have loads of quizzes, over 800 of them. And you'll start to see where you play well, where you don't play well, and you'll be able to figure out that. We also have over 50 homework webinars where we go through and ask, how would you play your entire range in a specific spot? I think this is actually the most beneficial thing of the site. This is hard work. Homework is hard. You don't like the homework, but it's very, very valuable. Also, we have many, many classes by the poker coaching coaches. They present on all sorts of things. Faraz Jaka recently reviewed a $5,000 buy-in hand history. Michael Acevedo discusses flop, GTO check raising ranges, etc., etc. We have all sorts of content there. Also, we have Master the Fundamentals that is part of poker coaching. I alluded to this a little bit earlier. It is a 19-part series that will take you from knowing nothing about poker. If you're new to poker, you don't know anything, it will get you absolutely up to speed so that you can make full use of pokercoaching.com. Some people told us when they signed up, they liked this, but it's a little bit too advanced. They don't know how to make the most of it. And, well, we made the fundamentals course to get you up to speed. So for poker coaching membership, you can get 1, 2, or 3-year access. Every month, we're adding 15 new quizzes, 1 new video class, 1 new homework webinar, and at least 2 live coaching webinars, and usually much, much more. As you see, if you sign up for longer, we'll give you a bigger discount because that's how it works. Someone asked me recently, are you really going to keep doing this for 3 years? The answer is yes. They're still backing me in the hall. I have to say, go get out of the hall. But yeah, we're going to be in here for the long run. I'm not one of these random poker people talking on YouTube who's not going to be here next week because they got bored and found something else to do. This is my career now, teaching all of you how to make money from poker. So, also, we recently released our 30-day tournament preparation challenge. And if you are a Poker Coaching Premium member, you get access to this included. It's just part of Poker Coaching Premium, which we'll be going through a little bit in just a second. So, as you see, every day you will get something to do. Every day, for example, day number 1, we'll give you this on the site, learning your opponent through their pre-flop play with Jonathan Jaffe. There's content by me, all the coaches in here, that is fully designed to help you be way better at poker tournaments after 30 days than you were before. And that's also going to teach you how to go about studying and working hard and making sure that you actually apply yourself. As you see, it goes to full 30 days. Also, a full Sunday Play and Explain where I sit right here in this office. It's a small closet, really. I sit right here in this small closet and I play poker all day and I talk out every single decision I make over the course of 15 hours while playing about 15 tables at a time. We actually had a good session. I think we ended up winning 2 or 3 tournaments that day. And it was a lot of fun. That's also part of Poker Coaching Premium. So with Poker Coaching Premium, you can get 1 year access to that for an annual membership. We have over 900 interactive quizzes there. Over the next year, we're going to add 300 more at least. Also, 24 new video classes over the next year. 12 new live homework webinars, and also 48 live coaching webinars. I have to go tell these people to get out of the hall. Can you please move? Not right now. Not right now. Just out there, please. Sure. Not in here. Not in our... Good Lord. Perfectly wrong timing. All right. Okay, where were we? Yeah, Poker Coaching Premium. Check it out. Normal price is $99 a month. And to be fair, it's an absolute steal at $99 a month. Think about it. $99 a month is what? $3.33 per day? $3.33 per day is very, very cheap for access to content made by many of the best players in the world. And it's all there for you. It's all fully cultivated. We don't have any sort of giant initiation fee or anything like that some companies do. And, you can get access for the whole year. There's some sites out there that'll charge you something like $2,500 up front and then $500 a month for content from one person. That's not what we're trying to do here. We are trying to give you affordable educational coaching. And if you buy it for a year ahead of time, it's $1.50 a day. Think of the value. You basically get coaching from a world-class player, even if you do an hour a day, for $1.50 an hour. Think of the value. So anyway, here are options. You can check it out at pokercoaching.com/July4. The number 4. Couldn't type number 4. pokercoaching.com/July4, and you can get access to all that. Go there, check it out. And if you want to take your game to the next level over the course of the next year, this is for you. Can you give us your email for the Hold'em Manager software? Not sure what you mean. I do not own Hold'em Manager. Can you watch this later? Yes. Do you have any live poker tells you live by? Not really. I have a chapter in Excelling at No Limit Hold'em by Zach Elwood, who is the tell master. I'd really tell you that there are some things, like usually when people blink a lot, very often I find that they're bluffing. But like I'm not living or dying by it, but I certainly will very frequently base my money or risk my money on it, but I'm not going to be doing anything overly insane. That's a very thin value bet there with that ace-8. You don't do it enough. You always say to yourself, what's worse that will call? Well, it turns out when it does go check, check, turn, check, check, river, there is a lot of stuff worse that can call. When you're triple barreling, what cards could arrive that might make us change our plan? Usually stuff that pairs the top pair on the flop or middle card on the flop. Those are particularly bad. On the 10-5-4 board, why are we betting our whole range small button versus small blind? Is this a balance or an exploit play? I think you probably want to bet everything small there. The board's just very, very uncoordinated. And the big blind is going to be raising the top, 50-ish% of hands, maybe 60-ish, 70-ish%. Whereas the big blind is going to be lacking the best hands because they would have 3-bet them. And they're going to be calling pre-flop very, very wide, right? So their range is just weaker than the button's range. Top 5 online tells, there really aren't any. Someone mentioned earlier, definitely pay attention to timing tells online. Sometimes that works if people are playing one table and paying a lot of attention, but for the most part, people are not playing one table and they're not paying attention. I mean, if you try to get timing tells on me, it's not going to work out so well. How do you adapt to your late position raising range when there are 4 limpers behind? I think you mean 4 limpers in front of you. Not sure what you mean. If 4 limpers limp in front of you, obviously you probably don't want to raise as wide, and also you want to make sure you're using big sizings. How do you know when to stop applying pressure? Sometimes there are turn cards that are just really bad for your range and really good for your opponent's range, right? And whenever the board is just really bad for your range, those are usually pretty good times to stop. What stakes are we applying these stakes to? All games. What stakes are we applying these exploits to? Yeah, all games. All games. What rivers will be bad at triple barrel on that 10-4 hand? Let's go back to this hand. You all seem to really want to focus on this 10-4 hand. What rivers would be bad here? A 10 is pretty bad. 10's pretty bad. Every other river's probably okay. Yeah, every river's okay. The thing is that the opponent's most likely hand on any non-10 river is certainly a 10, right? And that's going to fold to a river jam most of the time. When a 10 comes, I know it's less likely they have a 10, but they could very easily have they could have it, right? And then they're just always going to call when the 10 comes. But I'm usually just firing away. Does this mean we should bluff raise the river more as people will overfold? Not necessarily. Maybe, but not necessarily. I do not have good data on that. That's a spot that doesn't come up very often, right? All this is based on data, by the way. It's not me guessing. This is all based on data that I've seen that essentially shows you that people overfold a little bit too often in some spots and a lot too often in other spots. The thing is, when opponents go like bet, 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 usually they're very polarized. And if they're very polarized, that includes a lot of the best hands that will not fold to the raise. Another spot that's very profitable, by the way, someone raises, you call big blind, flop comes whatever, goes check, check, turns as a blank, goes check, check, or any card goes check, check. On the river, the blind should be betting basically every time. They're just going to print money there. You think it's better to have calling 3-betting range in the small blind, or is it better to have a 3-bet or fold range from the small blind? I'm not sure exactly what you're saying. Oh, I guess you're saying, is it okay to have a flatting range in the small blind? Yeah, sure, especially in small 6 games. Are we planning on making tournament training sessions for any other poker variants? Not really. No Limit Hold'em is the biggest poker game by a mile, and it's the only one that very clearly has a future in my mind. I'm a very big fan of learning things that definitively have a future, because otherwise you're going to spend a bunch of time learning something that may die in the future. Like they have games like Short Deck that, you know, some people maybe thought was going to become huge. Turns out it's already starting to get way less played. Games like PLO, back in the day, I spent a lot of time learning PLO, but the game is small, right? Compared to No Limit Hold'em. And I think No Limit Hold'em, especially No Limit Hold'em tournaments, are going to be around, and it's going to be soft for a very long period of time. And it's also going to be a game that you're going to be able to profit at for a very long period of time, and I'm a big fan of that. Where there'll be more KO and PKO content. If you want it, send us an email, support@pokercoaching.com. I think I made a class recently on that. Also, we just released the Progressive Knockout Tournament Bounty Calculator. So, I mean, we definitely have some stuff on there. All right. You all like Faraz Jaka. Good. I'm glad to hear it. If you like our coaches, send them a message on Twitter. Let them know. Can existing poker coaching premium members, or I'm sorry, can existing poker coaching members get upgraded? If you have any questions about payments, send us an email, support@pokercoaching.com, and we will happily get that to you. But yeah, we can upgrade you in various ways. Are all the new coaches going to start creating quizzes? Some will, some will not. It's very important to me that the coaches are very happy with their job with me. I've learned through working with a lot of people and doing a lot of things right and a lot of things wrong, that when people are happy working with you and they like what they're doing, they're going to stick with it and they're going to quit and they're not going to cause you problems. If a coach tells me they don't want to do quizzes because they don't like the process of making it, because it is a little tedious, fine, you don't got to make quizzes. If you tell me you don't like doing live webinars, fine, don't have to do live webinars. I want the coaches happy and motivated so that they always show up ready to go and do a great job. Do you get any additional functionality with the push, fold, call charts in the app with premium memberships? No, there's not really much more we could do with those because push, fold apps are very simple. I know some people out there are going to try to charge you to use a push, fold app, which I think is ridiculous. That information is widely available and free online, and we made an app, the Poker Coaching app, so check that out. We have push, fold charts there. Also, if you're a Poker Coaching member, you can access your quizzes there. And we have a very, very in-depth program coming out soon that will be there for the members. So I'm excited about this. Full GTO charts. There are some companies out there that charge you thousands of dollars for these charts. There is one site that's kind of similar. They charge $500 a month for it. This can be included. All of them included with Poker Coaching Premium. Over 8,000 GTO Munker solved pre-flop charts there for you. Do I back people? I back people through the Pocar Backing Company. POCARR.com. If you enjoyed this, click the like video. Yeah, click like. 9-handed triple up online game. So this is some weird ICM game. Okay, already venturing into games that probably don't have a future. Early ace of spades guy in position calls your 3 blind raise. Flop comes king 10-6. You check. I would definitely just bet. Guy bets. You shove. I would probably check call. You have the best hand the vast majority of the time, and you're not susceptible to being outdrawn. But yeah, just bet small and frequently. What's the best GTO book? Modern Poker Theory. I'll show it to you. Here it is. Modern Poker Theory by Poker Coach and Coach, Michael Acevedo. It's a big book. Not a kiddie book. Kiddie games down the street, as Mike Mattisau says. A lot of books out there are basic. They want to teach you some basic stuff that half the people know anyway. Listen, I'm trying to teach you all high-level concepts that the pros are discussing. Whenever I'm making content now, I've already have the basics covered, right? We have the fundamentals course. We have the easy stuff. My goal is to get you very good. I'm not trying to just let you, mess around and make $5 every time you play poker. I'm trying to have you work a little bit hard, study, and make $100 an hour or more from poker so that you can make life-changing money and alter the course of your life. We're not here just to mess around. I posted some topics on Twitter the other day about backing. We'll be going through all of that tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. on a little coffee. But a lot of people say, "Oh, well, I buy pieces of people because I want to sweat and I want to get some excitement." Hate to break it to you, but if you are doing things for excitement, very often you're trading money for excitement. If you trade money for excitement over and over and over and over again, you're going to be broke one day. Obviously, that's a little bit harsh. I know that some people can, bet tiny on the side for fun, but the advice I give all of you is based on helping you make substantial money so that you can change your life. That's why when you say, "Hey, do you have a limit Omaha 8 or better advice?" No, because I don't think you're gonna be able to make substantial money from limit Omaha 8 or better a big enough percentage of the time to justify me spending substantial resources, hiring someone else to make it, or making it myself. I am trying to teach all of you to crush it long term. Fortunately, that's what we do. You have 12 big blinds, profit all in equity over 2,500 hands. That's per 100 hands, that's good. If it's total, it's not so good. If you had educated advice on some quick tips for PLO tournaments, you need to play a lot of small pots in PLO tournaments. Don't get it all in. The problem is in a tournament, you don't want to get it all in close to flipping, and in PLO, you're always close to flipping. Michael Clifford, get the Poker Coaching app. The Float the Turn app is defunct. Get the Poker Coaching app. Search Poker Coaching in iTunes or Android App Store, and you can get that. How disappointing is it to not be in Vegas on 2/7? So look, this is going to sound a little bit rough, but I never really loved going to the World Series of Poker anyway. It's kind of nice to be able to just stay home for the summer. The World Series of Poker is tough. It's one of those things where, you sit there, you're going to play the whole series, you're going to be down 70% of the time or something if you only play the tournaments, just because that's how variance works. And it's a grind. Also, to be fair, I haven't really done the full grind for the last 2 or 3 years anyway because I have 2 kids. It is not good parenting, in my opinion, to go sit in Vegas by yourself for 2 months while your significant other stays home with 2 children. So I wasn't going to be there the whole time anyway. I don't even know if I would be here. So if we're nearing main event time, we're nearing main event time, I guess I'd be back out there. But yeah, I'd like to be playing the main event. Would you say the old school players instinctively know a lot of this stuff? No, I don't. I think a lot of the old school players wound up being broke. And the ones that aren't studied a ton. What's the difference between PO and Munker Solver? PO Solver presumes heads up pots. Munker Solver does not presume anything. Munker Solver is way better. It's requires a much stronger computer to run. Simulations take forever to run, which makes them much more expensive, right? We had to pay tons of money for our simulations for the new upgrade to the app that's coming soon. And because it took, many thousands of hours to run all of it. Is staking just pure gambling? Well, you have some amount of equity in whenever you buy someone. We'll discuss all this tomorrow in a little coffee. Check it out bright and early, 9 a.m. There'll be a replay. If you don't like math equations, you wouldn't recommend Modern Poker Theory. Yeah, it turns out game theory requires math. I didn't know if you all knew that or not, but game theory requires math. Now, to be fair, this is way more simplified than a book like The Mathematics of Poker, which gives a lot of nonsense math. that's completely irrelevant. This at least gives charts and frequencies and whatnot. But yeah, math is very relevant. Would you recommend getting the book without the course? Can the substitute be a course? I'm not sure what you're referring to specifically. Let's see. All right, here we are. In the 30-day challenge, the ICM session helped you change your game. You're looking at things differently. Well, good. I'm glad to hear it. That is good. It's too hot in Vegas during the summer. Oh, everybody knows in Vegas in the summer, you don't go outside. You walk outside to get in your Uber to go to the Rio, and you walk outside from your Uber to the Rio for 5 minutes, and then you're done. That's all you go outside in Vegas in the summer. Don't go outside in Vegas in the summer. It will melt your brain, and that will not be good. If your wife is at the poker table, would you stack her? No, probably not. Depends on our dynamic for the day. Oh my gosh, have I had the wrong thing up this whole time? Yeah, I have. Good. Thanks all of you for letting me know. That's actually an interesting question. Would you soft play? If so, are you implicitly colluding with your wife? I'd really only find myself at the table with my wife if we were playing for fun. And if we're playing for fun, I definitely don't want my wife to be out because that will end her fun. Right? What are my thoughts on ACR? Check out jonathanlittlepoker.com/USA. I already made a video for you on that. jonathanlittlepoker.com/USA. You're a recreational player but would like to turn up your game. What would you recommend for someone in your position who understands the basics and would like to progress? Get Poker Coaching Premium. Go to the oldest homework question and work your way forward to the present. And while you're doing that, also make sure you're utilizing the quizzes and the classes. The classes there are going to be invaluable for you because if you have any question about anything, I've probably made a 15 to 30 minute long video on that specific topic. We've been around for a little bit of time now to the point that whenever a Poker Coaching Premium member has a question, they can email it to me. And if it's not already covered in the classes, I'll make a video on it because I want to help all of you succeed. It's sort of an encyclopedia that has the answer to all the poker questions you may have. You have a home game tonight, Tottenham's Closet. Any tips? Well, or good luck. Yeah, good luck. Any tips? Figure out what your opponents do wrong and exploit them, right? You would think of you as your wife and not stack you if I was at the table. Oh, well, thank you. Let me know it ahead of time because I may not realize that. Okay, so anyway, check out pokercoaching.com. Look, I have poured the last few years of my life into this to make this the most complete training site to help you become the best poker players you can possibly be. And it's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of effort. I could be out doing what all the other poker players are doing right now. They could be, reading a book, goofing off, walking around. But I'm here working for all of you because I see me in all of you. And I want all of the inspired poker players out there to have the best chance for success. I had to wade through a whole bunch of nonsense books back in the day and a whole bunch of nonsense training videos once those started to come out in order to get anywhere near decent. And we have cultivated all that content for you to make it concise, clear, to the point that you can get good at poker relatively quickly. I mean, just going back to the Cash Game Masterclass, I've had many students tell me now that they have been break-even cash game players struggling, and now they're making $100 per hour playing 2-5/5 no limit in their local casino. This was pre-COVID. I don't know what they're doing now. But clearly, if you can take people from not being very good and over the course of just like 6 to 8 to 10 hours, have them winning $100 per hour, that's just absolutely life-changing, right? And we've done it many, many, many times so far just with that one course. And clearly we have lots of other stuff here as well. How do you gauge your progress? It's tough to know, actually. It's tough to know how to specifically gauge your progress. And I would tell you, show up and play. And whenever you're playing, understand that essentially if you are knowing what to do in spots because you have seen me or the other coaches demonstrate what to do in those spots, that's a situation where you're probably no longer making any sort of egregious mistake. And whenever you do feel uneasy, discuss it with the other poker coaching members because maybe we've discussed that scenario before. We have a forum, we have a Discord channel. Something else we didn't even mention here. We do giveaways where we back members into tournaments because a lot of people just out there want to get a chance. I can't give all of you $500 or $1,000, but every month we'll do something like that, either in the form of a giveaway to the members, in the form of a giveaway to lots of people. We actually just wrapped up a giveaway. We're giving away $2,500 in cash. I'll go ahead and spoil the next one. We're giving away 3 $1,000 buy-in seats. You can use them for whatever you want. Maybe some online tournaments coming up right now. Maybe you'll get some jewelry. But yeah. Don't forget to tell people a little coffee, 9 a.m. sharp. Yeah, we'll be discussing backing tomorrow at 9 a.m. sharp. You're a 17-year-old college student and you're passionate about playing and studying on the side. What's the best way for you to get better at the game before you can play in Vegas? I already told you exactly what to do. Get Poker Coaching Premium. Go through all the homework. All of it. It's going to take you some time. It's going to be hard work. It's not easy. But if you get through all of it, there's over 50 questions there. Each question may take an hour or two. You are going to be very, 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 very good, and you're going to understand how to play fundamentally sound poker pretty well. How often do you update the poker coaching quizzes with new content? Every day or two. I think we release, I don't know, what does this say? Yeah, so over the next year, we're going to release 300 new hand quizzes for Poker Coaching Premium members. So that's one every day-ish, right? So 300 at least. So roughly every day you'll get something new, give or take. And if it's not a quiz, it's going to be a webinar, or it's going to be a live stream, or it's going to be something that is there for the members. We upload the site every time. You have to realize, it's not just me. I have a team of people who help me make this. This is a big production. This is not just Jonathan Little in a closet making content. I have lots of help, and that allows me to be as productive as possible as well. What's the fastest time to complete the challenge? Effectively, if you can devote 8 hours per day to study. I would tell you probably don't want to study 8 hours per day. I would tell you probably want to study more like 4 hours per day. But yeah, that's that. Hey, James, come here. The stream's about over. You want to say hello to everyone? No, not yet. Say hello.
I'll talk to Mommy now.
What are you saying?
Chocolate.
Do you like poker?
No.
Okay, bye-bye.
Put me down.
Thomas, come here. Come here. Come here. Here's Thomas. He's gotten so big. Thomas, do you like poker?
Hello.
Yeah, hello. Can you say hello?
Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Hello.
Okay, can you say bye-bye?
Bye-bye.
Can you blow a kiss?
Mwah.
All right, go get ready for dinner. I'll be there in 3 minutes. Bye-bye. Okay. The other day, I was sitting here playing poker. James comes and bangs on the door and says, "Daddy, you're going to lose." Then he ran off. But then I had the best session I've had so far, so maybe he'll do that again this Sunday. All right. Have a great day. Enjoy yourselves. Check out pokercoaching.com/July4. If you want to support those children in me, it's a great way to do it. If you want to get better at poker at the same time, it's a great way to do it. I hope that you all make the most of your time. We only have so much time here on this world, at this world. We only have so much time, and you need to make the most of it. And poker is a great game to mess around at and have fun, but it's also a great game to win life-changing money at if you dedicate yourself and you work hard and you're diligent and you have discipline. So check it out, pokercoaching.com/July4. Enjoy yourselves. Have a great week. Check me out again, 9 a.m. Eastern Time, Monday, Wednesday, Friday for a little coffee. This Sunday, we'll be streaming the whole session. We're going to be a good boy. We're not going to stay up till 5 a.m. messing around this time. We're going to go to bed whenever we finish, probably be around 2 a.m., so we're only going to stream for like 12 or 13 hours, but we'll be doing that as well. Have a great day. Enjoy yourselves. Again, any questions about the membership, what you get, what you don't get, the app that's already available, any questions about upgrading your subscriptions, downgrading your subscriptions, email support@pokercoaching.com, and we will answer all of that for you. Good luck. Have fun. Enjoy yourselves. And I'll see you later.